Hey everyone, I hope you are all well. Today's video is going to be a continuation of this Ryanair Flight Attendant series, and this video is specifically about my first day as a flight attendant. So as you know, my base was in Berlin. This is where they assigned me to. This is where they sent me to. I had heard a few things about Berlin. I heard it was a great place to visit. I didn't know much about daily life there. I think I just thought it would be fine. I didn't actually do my due diligence and do my research about what it really means to live in Berlin as a black person, because obviously that does contribute. Yeah, I'd heard good things about Berlin as a great weekend destination. So I was kind of happy to take up this opportunity to move and just explore it. So my first day of work was actually 2 days before Christmas. This was my supernumerary day. So before you actually start getting paid as a flight attendant, you need to work 3 days for free and basically pass these tests that they give you. Your number one or your cabin supervisor will be asking you questions about the aircraft, about the procedures, about safety and security, everything, and they are basically ticking each thing off, signing you off essentially to be able to be an official paid employee. Before you start the supernumerary days, you need to do a base visit. After the base visit, you then start your official supernumerary days. And then after the supernumerary days, you go online. Being online means you officially can see your schedule interactively, where you'll see exactly who you'll be flying with, the pilots and the cabin crew, and you see exactly if there are any changes to your route, because sometimes if there are delays in a certain country that you've landed in, if you're doing 4 sectors, 2 of your last sectors might be cancelled. Sectors meaning flights. You have access to all this information on your machine, your Vpost. In case you're wondering what a Vpost is a machine that you use to take payments from customers who are paying for things like Pringles, Nutella, basically all the snacks that you see on a Ryanair cart, the perfumes, everything duty free. This is what we use to take the payment on. It doesn't go straight to our bank account. Nope, it goes straight to the Ryanair bank account. Then at the end of the month or the next paycheck you get, they give you a small percentage as a sales bonus. Sometimes when you're flying with certain cabin crew, they can be quite competitive and want to put stuff in their Vpost, but for the most part, I found like at least 80% of people that I flew with to be quite fair, putting the payments in both of the Vposts. On my first supernumerary day, I was scheduled 4 flights, 4 sectors from Berlin to Krakow, Krakow to Berlin, Berlin to Toulouse, Toulouse to Berlin. Now the day started off pretty good, pretty easy, pretty simple. I mean, I even got to sit in the jump seat in the flight deck. So I was like really like, wow. God, I'm in the sky, I'm flying. For the first time, that was when I really felt like, wow, like I had a different perspective, because when you're flying from a passenger seat, you don't really see as much as you could do. I don't think I've ever flown over the Alps on such a clear, crisp morning. The day started off, well, we did Krakow, came back to Berlin, then from Berlin we flew to Toulouse, and that's when we realized, oh no, we have a problem. Houston, we have a problem. Something was up with the, I'm not gonna specify exactly what, but it was something that like one of the captain noticed. We could have actually flown back without it, but you know, it was always about safety first, which I believe is the most important thing. We had to stop there, order either like a replacement, or we had to wait for a new aircraft. So we were actually in the aircraft for about an hour or 2. After that, we had to get off in Toulouse, wait in the airport, just in the general area, with the 2 pilots and 6 of us cabin crew. There were 4 cabin crew plus 2 supernumeraries, me and another one of my course mates. We tried to wait, got something to eat. I remember the captain even like bought us all cakes and I think he bought me a chocolate thing, and I was like, it was so rich. It was incredibly rich. All I needed was something savory to eat. I got eventually a sandwich after that, but yeah, that was nice. I think captains are usually the ones kind of buying the crew something to eat or like distributing something to the crew. That's just something I noticed. 2 of the crew, when they realized that, hey, we are not going back to Berlin, they immediately scrambled. They were flying home for Christmas and they had their bags with them. I didn't have my suitcase on me. I wish I had my stuff with me, because the next day I was due to fly to London. I just had my normal crew bag. So yeah, we ended up stuck in Toulouse for, I would say, 10 hours. Approximately 10 hours. My course mate was taking it as it comes, not really seeing it negatively and just kind of enjoying it. And I think had a little bit of a crush on the first officer. I don't know. Anyway, I was actually getting so tired because it was like 11 o'clock and I had been up since what, 4 a.m. because we were on early flights, because with Ryanair's schedule you have 1 week of earlies, 1 week of lates, or 1 block of earlies, 1 block of lates. So I was on my early block, so we had this early 4 flights which were meant to finish at 1 p.m. Berlin time, and we finished at like around midnight. So you can imagine being up 4 a.m. in the morning, that's around 20 hours awake. Oh, it was just like on my first day, like I'm not even getting paid to be here. I'm on supernumeraries and this is what happens on my first day. Now, this could have been a much better situation if it had been handled better. Fair enough, you know, unexpected things happen. Fair enough, we had to change aircrafts. Fair enough, the plan had changed. But guess what? It could have been handled differently. They could have put us in a hotel for the night to rest, but no. No hotel. This is what I mean when I say we have to be prepared for these things when you're working for this company, because it's really no frills. Budget. You really need to understand that before you sign yourself up for this, because this is a reality. So instead of putting us in a hotel, we literally just hung around in the airport for a good 10 hours. I'm not sure if other airlines would do this. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't, but this was the reality of my first unpaid day as a flight attendant. And I didn't quit after that. Obviously, I continued working, but in my head I was thinking, this is what I signed myself up for. I signed myself up for this. So I can't really be complaining. It's totally fine that there was a change of plan. It's totally fine. It's all about how you handle things after and how you treat people. That's how I see it. That's how you make a bad situation better. That's how I see it. If we had just been given a hotel for the night and then maybe a flight back the next morning, or maybe even a flight home, if they could have just given us a flight home or given me a flight directly to London, that would have been much better. We eventually got back to Berlin. We flew as passengers because of course we could not operate on the returning flight even though we were supposed to. They called a new crew. That crew operated, and I think that crew had a hotel in Berlin. So they gave that crew a hotel because they were called probably from home standby in Toulouse, fly us back to Berlin, spend the night, and fly back to Toulouse the next day. That's probably what they did. But we struggled. Oh my god. Yeah, it was tiring. What I did was I actually had a flight the next day, early in the morning, back to London because it was Christmas Eve. Instead of me, you know, when I arrived back in Berlin to go back to the apartment, what I did was I just stayed in the airport. Actually just stayed in the crew room a couple of hours and then just made my way to the gate and in my uniform, and I just flew with my EasyJet flight back to London, got some sleep and celebrated Christmas the next day. This is literally how my first day of work went. My first day as a flight attendant went. Things did get better after that, but me not operating on that last flight back to Berlin meant that I had to do an extra 2 flights to be signed off for my supernumerary days. So guess what they gave me? Lisbon. And Lisbon is one of the longer flights, not the longest, but it's one of the longer flights. It's like what, 3.5 hours flight from Berlin, and I had to do it to and back. But thankfully it was a fairly easy, simple, it was actually a nice flight, thankfully. But then again, of course, I'm thinking I'm not being paid for these flights. But then I was just happy that when it was finally over, when I finally did my last day of supernumeraries, I could get back to like my actual roster. So yeah, that was my first day as a flight attendant. You can see me smiling now, but on the day it was just like I wasn't really complaining that much because I already knew that, look, this is the airline I'm working for. It's a budget airline, low budget, no frills attached, no frills at all. And I think it was to be expected, but I just didn't expect it would hit me in the face on the first day, you know? One good thing about that day, I would say, is at least I got to do takeoff and landing in the flight deck. So yeah, that was it. Okay, I hope you've enjoyed this story. That was the reality of my first day as a Ryanair flight attendant. Are you a Ryanair flight attendant? Are you an ex-Ryanair flight attendant? Do you want to be a future Ryanair flight attendant? Do you want to be a future flight attendant? Were you a flight attendant in the past? Let me know. I'd love to hear your stories. I do have a few more, but I have to kind of select which ones to share depending on how this one is received. And yeah, that's just one of the realities. Sometimes aviation can be a bit bit unpredictable, so you really do have to be flexible. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you're not already subscribed, as well as turn your notifications on so you know exactly when I've uploaded a video. And please do head over and follow me on Instagram, and I'll see you in my next one. I'll see you later.